Hello, welcome to Paulogia, where today I have no theme music at all because I'm not exactly sure what this video is. I'm busy on several Creation Today science videos and ham and egg projects, but instead I'm feeling compelled to do a quick update on this week's financial shenanigans, that's the only polite word I can think of Mr. Ken Ham and Mr. Eric Hovind. Let's start with the latest chapter in arkonomics, where Ken Ham's Ark Encounter attraction recently celebrated its first anniversary, bragging of having had 1 million guests in the first year.
Just in the first year, we've had over 1 million visitors come to the Ark Encounter already.
Too bad the initial estimate was for 2 million guests.
The projection is up to 2 million a year. I think we're going to be blown out of the water by how many people we're going to have.
But off by half isn't that bad for creation ministry. Hemant Mehta, the friendly atheist, whose blog has the best coverage of arkonomics, was on hand with a small protest for the occasion.
Because Ken Ham and Answers in Genesis have created a lot of problems for people in this community. They've lied, they've broken promises, they've asked for favors and given virtually nothing back in return. If you were dating Ark Encounter, you would have broken up a long time ago.
But it's not his intrepid band of science lovers that put the Ark on the local news.
Up to Grant County now, a controversial sale for the Ark Encounter to itself for $10.
It happened one day before owners of the biblical attraction received a letter from the city of Williamstown rejecting its request to avoid paying a new safety tax.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here because I know you. You're distracted by the member of the crew who accidentally walked into frame, so you missed what the announcer was saying. Take a good look. There she is. Oops, poor lady. Okay, now I'm going to rewind it, and I need you to focus up on the deplorableness of what's being reported on. Ready? Go.
Rejecting its request to avoid paying a new safety tax. LEX 18 Steve Dutera joins us this morning to explain the latest in this controversy. Steve, good morning.
Well, good morning, guys. That new safety tax would upgrade the city of Williamstown's emergency equipment. That's what that safety tax is all about. Each ticket would be taxed 50 cents per admission. Now, the Ark Encounter is a for-profit entity, but according to the Herald Leader, a recent sale to the park's non-profit affiliate called Crosswater Canyon would mean the park would not have to pay for the tax. So Crosswater Canyon bought that land the replica of Noah's Ark sits on, something that we've been talking about for some time, for just $10. Now, the Grant County Property Valuation Administrator says that its value is about $48 million, that plot of land, I should be saying. The Williamstown City Council is scheduled to meet with the Ark Encounter later tonight, with officials with the Ark Encounter later tonight on the very issue. Mayor Rick Skinner told the newspaper that a lawsuit could be filed. Now an Ark Encounter spokesperson told the newspaper that they remain hopeful that they can reach some sort of agreement with the city regarding this safety tax. It's a story that we will be tracking throughout the day today. Back to you.
It's a pity that Answers in Genesis doesn't spend more time on Jesus and less time on the flood.
Whose is this image and superscription?
Caesar's.
Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's.
So let's recap the non-profit/for-profit adventures so far. Rather than build the Ark under the Answers in Genesis ministry banner, like the Creation Museum was, a for-profit Ark Encounter Corporation was established in order to be eligible for millions in tax breaks and tourism incentives from the state and county. Then, it petitioned for special pleading to be treated as a nonprofit so it could practice open discrimination in hiring practices, requiring every fry cook, landscaper, ticket handler, and janitor to deny evolution, affirm Ken's interpretation of the Bible, be disgusted by homosexuality, not have sex, and even abstain from watching porn. Inexplicably, this right to discriminate was granted to them. Then, when the very county they live in, who gave them tremendous concessions and for whom the Ark is not creating anticipated revenue, called for a 50 cents per ticket tax so that they could provide adequate security and emergency support for the Ark's guests, Ken has the nerve to transparently attempt to evade this tax rather than pay their share for necessary infrastructure.
But there is another commandment, no less great. You must love your neighbor as yourself.
But who is my neighbor?
Some analysis suggests that if the Ark is successful in this evasion attempt against its neighbors, it might avoid not only this safety tax, but all sales and income taxes, leaving Kentucky even more screwed than it already is. And where is Ken in all this? Why, he's down in Australia, unreachable for comment, opening a new Australian chapters of Answers in Genesis in his brother's warehouse.
Good afternoon. It is afternoon. I'm in Australia. And this is an exciting day for us because we're actually launching our Australian bookstore. My brother David is the one that actually has had a burden to get this done. People can actually come here, even though this is a construction business, that they can come here 9 to 5 any day, Monday to Friday.
Absolutely. Carol's here 3 afternoons a week, but we can help people when they come in, so it's great.
Next, let's see what young Eric Hovind tossed onto Facebook today.
Hey guys, Eric Hovind with a critical update on the Genesis movie. We have a whole video planned that we are shooting. This is like an emergency video. Critical update.
For anyone who isn't familiar, going on 6 years now, Creation Today has been working on a 3D animated movie depicting the first chapter of Genesis. Eric's last report was that the film production costs were about $900,000. And as far as I've been able to determine, that entire budget has been raised through donations and crowdfunding. Essentially, Eric's supporters have paid this entire bill, and he is under no obligation, promise, or even a suggestion that the profits will be shared back with his donors. Like Ken Ham, who didn't pay for the Ark and is therefore in a 100% profit situation, Eric has created a similar pure profit venture for himself.
The movie's done, which we're planning a big announcement about that. We've screened the movie to a recruited audience and had amazing feedback.
If you're following me on Facebook, and you should, you saw me post about this at the end of June. Eric's test audience was 39 people of, quote, different denominations, which means that every single one of them was a Christian. Eric bragged, even the old Earth creationists in the group thought the movie was fantastic, meaning that the most hostile member of this audience was still a creationist. They didn't even stretch to a theistic evolutionist. Not that this is any surprise, but like is Genesis history from earlier this year, Eric's film is not even pretending to convince a skeptic. It's meant only to placate the believers.
But we are at a critical juncture. The distribution company has just sent us the agreement to sign, and we cannot move forward with signing the agreement, which would release the movie this year in November. I think I'm allowed to say that much.
Now, in case you're not familiar with the business side of the movie industry, a distribution company is the only gateway to getting a film into actual theaters, and later to home video, streaming, television, foreign territories, airplanes, and everywhere else movies show up. The major distributors include Sony Pictures, Warner Brothers, Universal, Disney, and 20th Century Fox. Now, you're probably thinking that those are studios that produce films. And while it's true that they make some of their own films, a good chunk of their business is distributing films that they didn't make. Movies like the first 6 Star Wars films, the Shrek franchise, the Transformer films, and many others were made at outside production companies who then partnered with one of the distribution companies. There are production companies associated with stars like Tom Cruise, Margot Robbie, Adam Sandler, George Clooney, Will Ferrell, Clint Eastwood, and on, who partner project by project to get distributed. And then there are thousands of independent films out there, like those shown at major film festivals, that are first made and completed, and then look to secure a distribution deal. These days, the movie theater industry is almost entirely run by major chains, and those major chains don't want to be in the movie finding business. They just deal exclusively with a handful of distributors. So the middleman distribution company is really the only option to get a movie into multiplexes. This is the kind of partner Eric is looking for now.
We need to raise at least a minimum of $350,000 in order for this film to be distributed this November, and that's the minimum amount. It can go to more theaters if we have the funds to do that, but we're in a catch-22. I can't sign the contract with the distribution company until I show we can raise the funds to do it, and we literally have days to try to make this happen.
I should have mentioned at the outset that I've spent a good chunk of my career working in the film industry and for a major production company. And while my specialty wasn't on the distribution side, my boss was in charge of distribution, and I kept my ears open and I learned a lot. And I've personally sold option rights to my own projects, having been repped by major talent agencies. Now that's generally neither here nor there for the purposes of this channel, but today it's relevant. What Eric just said smells bad. Really bad. I'm familiar enough with these deals to know that the distribution company gives money to the production company, not the other way around. It may not be much money, but that's the direction the cash flows. If you're an actor, singer, model, dancer, writer, or whatever, if you're the talent, then the agent pays you. If the agent wants money from the talent, then it's a huge red flag. Run. Do not take that deal. It's a scam. So that's bad smell number 1. Bad smell number 2 is the amount. $350,000? I know there are independent films out there who do cut out the middleman and make the effort to self-distribute it. The crowdfunding budget for self-distribution seems to be in the order of about $100,000 these days. Why should Eric be putting up more than 3 times the amount it would take to do the work himself? It's possible this money will go to sustain a marketing campaign, which can legitimately sometimes be more than the production budget for the entire film, but he's not saying that here. Bad smell number 3. What's this next couple of days used car salesman pressure tactic? If he gets the money in time, the film can come out in November 2017, but any delay will mean the film isn't released until 2018. Oh no, as few as 2 months later. Honestly, a movie like this is going to have its best success in January or February anyhow, where it's not up against all the November Oscar contenders and the December blockbusters like Star Wars Episode 8. Just look at the surprisingly huge limited release February opening for Is Genesis history. Any distributor worth anything will be looking at the competition in these comparables, but maybe not one who can convince Eric to pay them $350,000 to press for the foolish decision to open a few days early.
So this is just a critical juncture for the film, and I'd love for you to support the distribution outreach of the Genesis movie. So if you can be a part of that, I guess I'm inviting you to jump on the bandwagon before there's a bandwagon totally built yet. This new website is going to have a crowdfunding aspect to it because we've got to raise the critical funds necessary in order to get out this November. Minimum is $350.
And there we go, begging for more money. I don't know if the distribution company is taking Eric for a ride on this, or maybe it's Eric who sees a chance to dip into his supporters' pockets one more time, or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and this is all on the up and up. Anyway you look at it, it's not Eric who's taking the financial risk, just looking to take all the financial reward.
It's at the place where if this doesn't happen and we don't get the momentum we need immediately, they are looking at putting it on hold until 2018, and I do not want to see that happen. So please jump on right now and help us make this happen. The gospel to the creation message is the most powerful I've ever seen in my life in this film, and I can't wait for this to go out to the world, and I need your help to make that happen.
We need your money now, or else the gospel won't be spread. As a former Christian, what I found to be conspicuously absent was that Eric forgot to ask people to pray for this situation. He just asked for the money. To me, that's telling. Anyhow, that's my take on two of my favorite young earth creationists and their financial adventures for the week. But more importantly, what do you think? Are Ken and Eric being good stewards of what God has entrusted them with? Or are they crooks without guns? Or something in between? Let me know in the comments. I'd love your thoughts. If you're new to Paulogia, hit that subscribe button to stay informed of new science videos or episodes of the Ham and Egg News Show, where we take a look at creationists taking a look at the latest news. And for even more of my current events eye-rolling, find me on Twitter and Facebook at Paulogia0. Until next time, hold on to your wallets. Later.